about 2 million cards get scanned and added every day. So we knew we had something kind of special.
You mentioned this was your fourth startup.
You'll notice a common thread for all my startups. Sometimes it's a little painful to be on the bleeding edge. But, we built a great business. We became the largest provider of visual search technology in the United States. It's fun because you can build something that reaches millions and millions of people.
You guys had a growth playbook.
It was a lot of word of mouth. We've gotten better and better at growth marketing and paid. We've grown to about 3.5 million users, and we're coming up with new creative strategies.
If you were to send a voice note to yourself back when you first got started with all this, Hey, are you Ted Mann, the guy who's built 4 mobile startups and also helped pioneer visual search, and now you launched a 1 million user app with your 10-year-old son just because he asked what a card was worth?
I want to give some snarky answer over you as a telemarketer, but yes, I am that Ted Mann.
Amazing.
What's going on?
Ted, had to FaceTime you, man. What is the story behind CollX?
Oh, it's good to see you. So CollX is an app for trading cards, which I hang on my wall here because I'm crazy. I love trading cards as a kid. It was how I made my first money, my first kind of entrepreneurial experience, if you will. And I now have 2 young boys who are obsessed with trading cards, and they were making all the same mistakes I had when I was a kid, and just wanted to help them make smarter trades and do better deals.
And so you're like, let's just make an app. Let's just go all in.
Well, it didn't start as an app. It started as just a very crude Airtable spreadsheet, just trying to help my kids scan their Pokemon cards because they were routinely doing they trade away a Charizard card and then find out the next day that card was worth $100. What did I do? And I didn't want to be that parent asking my kids' friends or their parents for trade backs, So I was like, I'll do the same thing my dad did with me, is I'll teach you how to figure out what the card is worth so you don't make stupid trades. So I built them an Airtable, taught the kids how to use a spreadsheet software. And before I knew it, 50 other kids in town were coming asking to clone the Airtable and realized there might be a good idea for an app there. So build it.
Your first wave of users was all the kids around town that wanted to be able to use the same system. How did you go beyond that? How did you manage distribution, get it out to more users?
Honestly, I think they were just, the other kids were just pissed that Charlie and Gus had this information advantage over them. They're like, that's not fair. I think the best startup ideas I've ever had, my first startup was a coupon app where it kind of grew out of me being a terrible couponer, always forgetting my coupons at home, wanting a way to not forget them, and coming up with this little life hack of taking pictures of the coupons and saving them in my camera roll.
Of course.
Right? It was as simple as that.
Yeah.
Turns out it was a great little trick for not forgetting your coupons, and turned out to be a really great app that grew to about 6 million users in 2 years. So with CollX, it was sort of the same thing. I came up with this method for helping my kids. Basically, the tool that I built them was take the picture of the card, identify it, match it to a reference image of that card, and then look up the value, look up the price based on all the recent sales. And so that was sort of the kernel of the idea. Turns out doing that with all 20 million cards that are official canonical cards that are out there, it's quite a bit more challenging, but every bit as useful. So
you said that was the kernel of the idea. How did this thing start popping?
Well, I reached out to a bunch of my old colleagues, a bunch of the really smart folks that I've worked with over the years. My old CTO from the SnipSnap was the coupon app. We were the first 2 that started working on it. My CTO and I got together, started working on the idea, roped in a few more great people, and eventually we launched CollX about 3 years ago. And it was just an app to scan your card, get the value, build your collection.
Right.
And it turned out that people loved it. We started before we knew it. We had thousands of people scanning and adding. At this point now, it's about 2 million cards get scanned and added every day. So we knew we had something kind of special, and just kept building from there.
So you mentioned this was your 4th startup. You talked about SnipSnap already, and obviously that was a success. What were the other 2, and then how did all of those previous startups feed? What lessons did you take from those other startups to feed the next startup, which was CollX?
Yeah, so SnipSnap was my first. I started my career as a journalist, as a writer and editor, and eventually started working on tech stuff at the newspapers, and eventually decided to kind of break out on my own. After I sold SnipSnap, I went on to run a company called Slice, which was also using the camera. You'll notice a common thread for all my startups is the camera, visual search, image recognition.
Got it.
Kind of my wife always jokes, to a hammer, all problems look like a nail. So I guess to me, all problems look like they can be solved with image recognition.
Of course.
But so the second startup was called Slice, and it was basically a visual search company. We were a software as a service business, so we licensed camera search technology to retailers. So what that means is if you ever downloaded the Home Depot app or the Nordstrom app, and I don't know if you've ever done this, and you see a little camera icon in there. Sometimes you might even see it on Pinterest or Google Lens. We were essentially a white white label Google Lens for retailers.
Got it.
And so you can take a picture of any, at Home Depot, any screw or bolt, or at Nordstrom, any handbag or pair of shoes, and we would match it to the most visually similar thing that the retailer sells.
That's getting crazy right now with AI. I feel like a lot of people are integrating it even more than before.
Yeah, we were kind of on the bleeding edge there.
Sure.
I mean, this is 10 years ago. We were early to the party. Sometimes it's a little painful to be on the bleeding edge. But, we built a great business. We became the largest provider of visual search technology in the United States. Worked with just about every major U.S. retailer. And along the way, I mentioned Home Depot was one of our reference customers.
Right.
And it was a great experience. You still see Home Depot commercials talking about the visual search to this day, which makes me proud. But we realized that what we were doing with them, identifying like screws and bolts and like little whoozy-whatses, that was really powerful and actually a really great application of the technology, like just for identifying spare parts. And so we began pitching it to like automotive retailers like Napa Auto Parts and AutoZone. And then also started talking to all these folks in like the industrial space, like folks that repair oil rigs and high-speed trains and airplanes. It turns out it was like a really, really great use of the technology in that space. So we spun out a company, I consider it my third startup, called Partium, which lives on to this day and has become the largest provider of visual search for parts, spare parts.
You've done things in all these different industries, B2B, consumer. What's been the biggest difference between building something in the B2B side of things versus a consumer app?
I mean, it's a totally different animal, right? If I'm being honest, I enjoy the consumer space a little bit more. I love the marketing side of it as well. But when you're building a SaaS business, building a subscription software business, it's usually a much smaller set of customers that you need to bear hug a lot more and hold their hand a lot more. But in the consumer space, it's fun because you can build something like, I've been fortunate now with CollX and with SnipSnap that reaches millions and millions of people. And it's intensely gratifying to work on something where like your family, your kids, your friends, like they get what you do.
Right.
It's like not that hard to get, which the SaaS side is, sometimes people are like, oh, he does software, he does like techie stuff.
Yeah, something like that. So when you were growing CollX and still are, has it been more of an organic, like word of mouth type of thing, kind of like it was in the beginning? Have you guys had a growth playbook through performance marketing, ASO? What does that look like for you?
When we started, it was a lot of word of mouth. And over time, we've gotten better and better at growth marketing and paid, social in particular. So we'll create cool videos about how to scan your cards, how to price them, how to sell them, and we'll boost those so we get more eyeballs on it. But I think now we're reaching a point, we've grown to about 3.5 million users on CollX. And as we sort of enter this next phase of growth, we're coming up with new creative strategies. The thing we just did, which is really fun, just these last 2 months, we started, whenever there was a new product release, like Top Series 2 or Topps Chrome was just a couple days ago, we'll do a thing in the app where every new user on the app can get a free pack of cards. And turns out that's a really great way to not only get people to download the app, but also to get people to like buy and sell on our marketplace. It's been a great sort of accelerant to the marketplace growth.
Wow. What does your creative strategy look like? What kind of things are you testing? How much are you testing? What advice would you give for people that are trying to figure out what the heck to do in terms of performance marketing creative?
I mean, that last example, I think, is a good one where we're experimenting with a way to drive not just straight up, installs, but get people to engage down the funnel a little bit. And in this case, to get the free pack of cards, you technically buy it for 100% off on the marketplace. But the reason we do that is because we want people to put in their address, put in their credit card, like do all those things that are a little bit of friction in kind of getting into a marketplace. But once you've done it once, the next time you go to make a purchase, it's just a one-click sort of checkout. So we're testing to see if stuff like that is going to be more effective. So we're always trying to come up with new strategies that are, that sort of like are fun and feel like they're a part of the app experience. So one of the ideas my colleague Dave came up with, which is brilliant, is called the scan back. And so we do this periodically. It's more of an engagement marketing thing, but I'm sure it does drive a lot of people to download the app too. And we announce a player or a team or a specific card, and we say, scan this, scan Pete Crow Armstrong yesterday, and you'll get $5 instantly in credit on the app. And that gets a ton of people kind of just being really quick to be like, I want to be the one to get it. And we put a sort of time limits and a limited quantity on it so that it sort of drives that urgency. So we're always trying to figure out stuff like that. Not only drive a lot of excitement, but also hopefully get people participating and doing things in the app like buying on the marketplace.
You've mentioned the millions of cards that get scanned on CollX every single day, right? Has there been any that have come through? Do you get to see any the big time cards that come through that are being scanned?
Yeah, not only because I collect and I'm looking for them, but you see the 52 mantles and you see the Babe Ruth Gaudis. I was looking at a Gaudi the other day. I actually met the guy at a card show. He was showing me his collection. I'm like, holy crap, that's an amazing card. He wanted $50,000 for it. So I didn't pull the trigger, but I was tempted because it's a pretty special card. You see that kind of stuff all the time.
Yeah. What's been one mistake you maybe have made early on? It doesn't have to be CollX, but any of your startups that you would maybe warn a new founder about?
The biggest mistake when I'm talking to other founders, and I've made it myself, is to try to, you have a specific business problem or something you're trying to validate, and you try to solve it with engineering, try to solve it with code. And I'm always a big advocate of try and test and validate and see if you can solve that problem or build that experience using existing tools available rather than, immediately kind of breaking out the big guns. Because I have always found that when you try to build something that you haven't necessarily validated or you don't totally know how to build, you dive right into engineering, you're going to waste a lot of time and money. So the first version of SnipSnap was basically my camera roll. And then V2 was Evernote. And like I said, V1 of CollX was Airtable, right? So there are great tools out there. And especially now these days with vibe coding, which has become a little side passion project of mine. You can build so much stuff so quickly, and you don't need to hire an army of engineers to validate the idea and make sure it's a good idea and make sure that you really know the shape of the thing that you want to build.
Right. So Ted, you mentioned vibe coding. Didn't you say that you were vibe coding something with your kids? You're working on something right now. What are you building?
Yeah. So I have two boys. My older son, Charlie, was heavily involved in the early days of CollX. He was sitting there working on the Figma files with me and coming in the office every day. My younger son, who's now 10, honestly, was feeling a little left out. So we had a big event coming up last month called Fanatics Fest, big card show event in New York at the Javits Center. And we were trying to think of something fun to do at the show, something different. And one of the things I love is that the users on CollX will do trivia. They start these little chat rooms and they'll post trivia questions to each other. And it's really fun and it's great. I participate in it. And I was like, why don't we use AI, use ChatGPT and build our own trivia game? I didn't want it to just be, literally going on ChatGPT and typing in a question and getting questions, because what I found was it didn't work that great. So I started using Replit with my 10-year-old and just straight up vibe coding, just telling it what we wanted and kind of iterating. And I think it's a pretty cool game. I don't know if we'll ever incorporate it into a CollX app. I kind of think we may, because it's pretty fun, but we've been doing it now at the card shows. We're going to do it at the National Card Show next week. And it's been really fun getting to do that with my son.
How long did that take you to put together just through vibe coding?
The first version of it took maybe a half hour. I've been futzing with it and Gus too for several weeks now. But yeah, I'd say we had a polished product in under a week.
Unreal. Ted, if you were to send a voice note to yourself back when you first got started with all this, what are you sending yourself?
I think I would tell myself to hop on the AI bandwagon as early as possible. Right? And I wasn't super slow to adopt to ChatGPT and all that, but I wish I had embraced it even sooner. And I still want to run a lot faster in that world to this day. And I feel if I could start over again, I probably would have baked AI into everything we do, right? Whether it's how our engineers work and review code, whether it's how we test and validate new ideas, the marketing side. I'm a big believer in the technology. And I'm that guy. I'm that friend that's always you should try this. Have you ever tried using ChatGPT for that? I wish I had done that even more from day one here at CollX.
I like that. Last thing for you, you just sparked some in my head. I hear a lot of people comparing the spark of AI to kind of the spark of the internet, the World Wide Web, and that coming to fruition in the world. How do you compare this to that back when the internet first came out?
Yeah, I'm old enough to kind of remember that. At least I was in college when, Google was its first little baby search engine. It feels every big, if not bigger, it feels like a total sea change. So every bit as impactful as the internet itself. It's so early days. I'm not 100% sure where it's headed, but I think even in our little part of the world, in the trading cards, the hobby, marketplace experience, I feel like it will be totally revolutionary. I just hope that we're the ones to bring that all to life.
Makes two of us. All right, Ted, thanks so much for the random FaceTime today. I'm going to go buy me a pack of cards. I'm feeling lucky. And then go download the CollX app. Where can everyone get started with the CollX app? So
CollX is free app, iPhone and Android. Go down in the App Store, Google Play. And our website is collx.app, and you can find us on all the socials.
And that's CollX. CollX.
Yes. One who, a lot of people pronounce it CollX, but it's just fine too. But it's one who collects things.
Collects.
You got it.
All right, Ted. We'll talk to you soon.